Issei Became Alastor, Part 2. From I, Wacky Anime What If. I hope you guys enjoy this part. And let's go ahead and get right into it. It's the next day after Issei's horrible incident with Kohai and a certain yandere lolly who's trapped in a Pokeball. Which he proceeded to just jump on his bed. He just got on his bed, had the Pokeball right on his counter, like right beside his bed. And yeah, he didn't really pay any attention. He drifted off to sleep. Unknown to him, the Pokeball rolled off the counter and fell to the ground and released a wild Konako. And Konako saw Issei and just jumped on him and started clinging to him while Issei was sleeping. And Issei, in his mind, was dreaming, oh no, no. He was having a nightmare about Konako now. And he doesn't know why. He has a nightmare that there's 5,000 Konakos, an army, charging and trying to chase him. And he's running to Kohai. And he's going inside of Kohai, closing the door, locking it, putting an actual locker, like with superhuman strength, putting a locker in front of it. And all the Konakos banging in the front door of Kohai. And Issei just starts running. Like, my dude, he is blitzing up the stairs to his classroom. And he doesn't know why he wants to go to this classroom, but he feels like it, and his dreams directing him there. And he's thinking of a way to get out. And he's like, wait, I could just teleport out of here, couldn't I? Because he knows some of his actual demon powers. He doesn't know where they came from. Anyway, so he's trying to teleport, but none of his powers are working, because this is a dream. He just doesn't know it. And he sees all the 5,000 Konakos right when he enters the classroom. They're all climbing in front of the window, pressing their faces against the window with hard eyes. And Issei is like, no, no, it's my worst nightmare. And all of a sudden, he feels something on his back. He looks behind him and he sees 5 Konakos jumping. And he starts screaming. And all of a sudden, he wakes up. He's like, oh, that was a terrifying dream. And then he looks down and he says, I feel like something's touching me. Looks down and sees Konako under the covers with him, completely nude, and says, oh my god, it was real. And he starts, literally gets up out of bed. Konako's still clinging to him while he's standing, and looks out the window, and he sees nothing. He doesn't see any, 5,000 Konakos in an army. And he just has all these sweat bullets coming through his actual, coming off his forehead. And he just wipes them away and says, whew, no army of Konakos. And Konako, who's still clinging onto him, Issei says, I'm just gonna go ahead and grab this. And he just picks up the Pokeball that fell, and he just bonks her in the head with it, and she goes into the Pokeball. And Issei just says, just to make sure this never happens again, he goes to get some flex tape. He wraps the tape all around the Pokeball and says, never again. And he stuffs it into his pocket and just walks out. Because he fears that if he leaves it in the household, someone might actually open it. Like, his parents might get curious why it has tape around it and just open it. They always do stuff like that, and he doesn't want that happening. So he puts on his Kohai outfit, and he walks down the stairs, and he looks at his mom and dad and says, oh, hi there, dear mother and dear father. So, do you mind if I make some food? Food for us? Since I want to make something special for you, my lovely mother and my dear father. And he runs up into the kitchen, and he starts making jambalaya. And they're wondering, why is he so proficient at making goddamn jambalaya, is what the mother's thinking. And the dad says, you know why. And she's like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I thought that incident was a dream after a while. Also, you never really told me about that. And, yeah, they're talking about this, and Issei's making the jambalaya, serves them it, and he puts his in a bowl, like an actual plate, like 2 bento plates, and he gets one for Konako, even though he does not like Konako. But Konako is just like a yandere stalker, stalking him. He knows he has to feed her, so he literally just walks out, and he runs all the way to the Kohai at top speed. Doesn't even run. He just teleports, actually. And he teleports to the front of the Kohai. Everyone sees him, and they're like, holy shit, that was a cool magic trick. And he says like, well, thank you very much. And all of a sudden a top hat appears on his head, and he just lifts it off, and just like waves at the crowd and says, I'll be here all night, everyone. And everyone starts laughing at him. And they're actually like very charmed by him. But they don't know how he appeared out of nowhere. They're not asking it though. It's because his charm itself is diverting the actual main things that are happening. And Issei just walks into Kohai. He goes up to his classroom like it's a normal day, all the way until Kiba knocks on the front door of the classroom and says, may I come in? And the teacher says, yeah, you can come on in. And Kiba walks in and says, my class president wants to see Issei Hyoda. And Issei's like, who's your class president exactly, young fellow? And he looks at him and says, I think it was Rias Grimmery, if I'm correct, is what he says. And Kiba just says, yeah, that's her name. And, would you please come with me so you can talk to her? She wants to talk to you pretty badly. And Issei just says, Will that be entertaining? Issei just says this, and Kiba says, it's just a normal conversation. And then Issei just says, nope, never mind. I'm just going to stay here then. And he just literally just says, nope, that sounds boring. And Kiba's just like smiling and has a tick mark on him. And Kiba says, could you please? And Issei just says, on one condition. And Kiba says, shoot. And Issei just said, the one condition is that you guys give me a room where I can do my radio show while I'm in school. Because it's very fucking boring, considering I know the answers to all these problems. And I'm way too intelligent for this classroom. And he says this with such pride. And it's true, too, because the teacher even knows that he's smarter than him. And Kiba says, you gotta talk to the president about it. And then he just is already at the door. And Kiba's like, wait, where the fuck did you go? Looks at the door, sees Issei and says, well, come on. Why are you such a slowpoke? Come on. Well, you ain't your class president. Rias Grimmery, Rias Femery. And he's thinking about multiple ways to twist her name around just to see if he can get an interesting reaction from her. And Kiba's just following Issei, because Issei's already walking to the ORC room, because he already knows where it is. He already knows everywhere in the whole school. And once he reaches the ORC and he opens the door, he doesn't even knock. And says, hello there. And they're all looking at him like, that's rude, you didn't even knock. And Issei said, well, weren't you the one that summoned me here? You're the one that pulled me out of class, so I don't really need to knock, since you already invited me, technically. And she says, fair enough. So Issei just sits down and says, what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about how to get better fake breast implants, or, do you want to talk about something else? Or do you want to talk about how not to look like a slut and look like a proper lady? And Rias is offended by this. Agano is chuckling. And Kiba is also pretty offended because he just called the class president a slut. And she's like, no, I wanted to ask where's Konako? And also, she was following you before because I instructed her to. And Issei's like, oh, you're the one that instructed that nightmare to follow me. We have no reason to talk then. And Issei's about to leave the room, and she says, well, she couldn't have been that bad. She's always quiet. She's not that creepy either. And Issei says, not that creepy, not that creepy. His eyes like still like they're chattering, and like radio static consumes the whole area. And she's like, she has the shit your pants face. And Issei's eyes turn black with completely red eyes on the pupils. And Rias starts to see antlers coming out of him, but thinks it's an illusion or something. And Issei says, she followed me everywhere. Tried to follow me into the restroom a few times. Ended up clinging to me ended up literally sniffing me, ended up hugging me in my sleep when I was in my house, and ended up trying to follow me there at one point, and tried to throw a Pokeball to capture me. And he pulls out the Pokeball, and to try to throw this, and Rios is like, wait, isn't that the sacred gear? The Pokeball? And he says like, sacred what? And she says, oh, you don't know about sacred gears. I have to tell you this. Do you believe in the supernatural? And he says like, I just teleported here. I always do this, and I'm pretty sure me changing my voice like that, and my whole demeanor in all this, and, you know, fucking all the static appearing around me whenever I'm pissed off, I think I believe in the supernatural. And Rita's just like, you don't need to be such an asshole. And Issa says, well, you're the one that's literally got this fucking bitch on my tail, which I had to capture in this Pokeball. And she's like, could you let her out? And Issa's like, no. And all of a sudden, Rios is like, why is there flex tape around it? And Issa says, I don't want to let her out. I really don't. I don't feel like dealing with it. I had a nightmare because of her. And he starts shivering thinking about the nightmare of those 5,000 Konakos, that army chasing him. And has the most fucking terrified face. And Rios kind of laughs about this, because she thinks it's kind of funny. And Issa says, alright, how about this? I'll give you her back, but she has to not go near me, and none of you watch me. That's kind of creepy. And Rhea says, no can do. And Issa's like, oh my god, why are my fans so fucking annoying? Why are they always like this? Like, do you want an autograph or something for you guys to like leave me alone? And she's like, no, I'm not letting you alone because of you have an unknown power. I'm a devil, and you're in my territory. Unless you join my barrage, and look, he says like, I don't go under anyone. Sorry about that. I'm my own party. And plus, I'm also technically a demon. Because Issei has already figured this out. But he's only figured out a certain extent of the truth. And she's like, wait, what do you mean you're a demon? And then he says, well, the thing is, apparently, you're gonna want to sit down for this. Actually, you know what? I'm not even gonna really tell you that much of it. I'll just tell you a part of it. I'm a certain type of demon that's different from your race of devils. I am actually a denizen, or a demon for short. And I am quite literally more powerful than all of you. Probably more powerful than that Sir Zex person. And Reese is like, wait, what do you mean by Sir Zex? And Issei looks behind her and says, I can see you're invisible behind her. Could you please knock it the fuck off? And Sir Zex turns uninvisible with Graphia behind him. And Issei says, also, I have no hostile intent against any of you, but if you try to recruit me by force, or follow me, or even look at me the wrong way, or try to get someone to tail me, it's not going to end well for you. And he says this in the most sinister voice possible, while looking at Sir Zex, and while looking at Rias and Oliver Raj, and Graphia. And Graphia looks at him and says, wait, before you go, because Lisa's about to go, Graphia says, can I get an autograph? And she like has this notebook out and the pen, and Lisa says, of course, and just signs the notebook, and says, from dear Alastor. And she's like, wait, who's Alastor? And Issa's like, that's my, Red Tube name, and that's my radio name, you know, the Radio Demon Show. It's all those names. And I just use it. And I don't know why, but I instinctively always write it down. I mean, I have to scribble out my name sometimes and put Issei. I don't know why. And he just says this to her, and she thinks it's kind of odd. Then she remembers, wait, she just says it out loud, wait, are you the one from Prophecy? The legendary great demon, the overlord of prophecy, that would visit this planet from another reality and fuse with someone? And he's just like, nope, I don't think so. And he just starts skipping out of the room with just a grin on his face. And he's thinking that was actually kind of interesting. And exhilarating. And then Kiba's like following him, and he's like, I gotta beat some fucking manners into this man. And even though Rias told him not to, and so does Sir Zex, he did it anyway. He's arrogant in this one. And as soon as he says like at the front of Kohai, about to leave, well, there's a barrier put in place, and he says like, I could easily smash this barrier, but I want to know what you want, Blondie. And he looks behind and sees Kiba. And Kiba says, I'm not Blondie, my name's Kiba. And I'm gonna beat some manners into you. And he pulls out his sword, and he points it towards Alastor. And, Alastor, Issei. I switch between them sometimes. And Issei says, oh, you poor sap. You know what, I would fight you, but, I acquired something. And he just unwraps the Pokeball and throws it at Kiba. And Kiba says, huh? And all of a sudden, Konako pops out and bops Kiba in the face and starts big booting him. And she notices it's Kiba and says, what's happening? And Issei says, how about this? I'll give you a kiss on the cheek if you can beat the shit out of Kiba so bad that I can't recognize this man. And Konako's eyes turned into hearts and stared at Kiba. And Kiba's instincts were saying, run. He started running. And Konako started chasing him all around the school, trying to beat him, throwing trees at him. Literally, Kiba had to run as quickly as possible, even sprout his devil wings and start trying to fly away. But no. Konako was alright hot on his tail. And Issei just walked to his home, took the Pokeball, and said, alright, that's good. He just walked to his home, and as soon as he got home, he placed the Pokeball right beside him on his desk, and decided to try to go to sleep. And, scene cut, Konako has beaten the dog shit out of Kiba, like, beaten him so badly, like, he's, like, bruised, broken. His nose is broken, his ankle's broken, his arms are broken, his neck needs to be put into a cast, and Konako stomped him in the dick, stomp him in the nuts, stomp him in the nuts. And that's exactly what she was saying while she was stomping him in the nuts. And let's just go ahead and say, oh my god, this was hilarious, because Rias was also watching this through a crystal ball. So was everyone else, and Sir Zex actually started holding his Kiwis. He was like, oh, she's ferocious. I can't believe that's in your barrage, that monster. And he looks at Konako while Grafia and all them are starting to chuckle and smile. In this really terrifyingly. And Sir Zex just teleports out of there. And Grafia is just holding the actual signed autograph from her idol and teleports to her room in the maid quarters of Rias Mansion in Hell, of the Rias estate. And she goes onto her bed, and you can see posters of Issei plastered everywhere. Everywhere in her room. She's hugging 5 body pillows of Issei, which were very hard to get. There's body pillows of Issei because of his radio show and stuff, but they're hard to get because they're always sold out. Like, instantly, it's like the PS5 stock again. It's like that. It's impossible to get a PS5. It's like that with those body pillows. Yeah, it's the fact she has 5 is pretty dedicated, because she was on there for like 8 whole months, just on the internet, literally waiting for the restocks and clicking as fast as possible. Anyway, yeah, so we're gonna scene cut back to Reese and them watching it, and they're like just watching this, and they're laughing because Kiba did need an attitude adjustment. He was too arrogant because of his sword birth, because he could just immediately just make swords, from the ground, sprout them, and he thought he was so all that. And for him to be put in this place was kind of fun for them. And, yeah, we're going to scene cut back to Issei, who's currently going to sleep. All of a sudden, after Konako is done with beating up Kiba, takes a picture, walks to Issei's house, sneaks into Issei's room, and starts going in like a ninja, has a ninja outfit and everything, and just slides herself into the bed very stealthily, like leaving no sound. And she's like, mission successful. Now, snuggle time. He slowly snuggles up to him. And Issei feels a shiver. Like his body feels a shiver. And Issei, who's currently dreaming, is like, no, no, I know this feeling. And he looks up in the sky, because he's like right in front of Kohai. He's dreaming had an ordinary school day. And he sees a giant Konoko. And the giant Konoko says, let's snuggle. And then is chasing Issei the entire time. And he's stuck in this dream for a while. And he wakes up after a few hours in the middle of the night and looks at Konoko, who's currently snuggling up against him. And she wakes up immediately, noticing that Issei's up now. And puts her actual phone out and says, hey, do you know who this is? And he says, I don't know who that is. Oh, shit. And then she's like, you owe me a kiss. And Alastor is Alastor. He doesn't break a promise. So, well, Issei's stuck. So Issei ends up kissing her on the cheek. She blushes. And her yandere eyes, like, Issei swears, those eyes that had just one heart in them, grew 2 on the side. Like, there wasn't even 2. There was like 2,000 hearts inside those hearts in her eyes. And Issei was horrified. And he just tried to go back to sleep, but he realized, how do I get rid of her? And he tries to grab the Pokeball, but all of a sudden Konoko says, no! Like, she lets out this deep, deep growl and just starts hugging on to Issei with superhuman strength, crushing him. And Issei just went unconscious. It like was foaming from the mouth. And Issei was still trying to reach for the Pokeball on the desk, just to, capture her again. And he was unconscious, not by going to sleep, but by knockout. And this is where I'm going to end What If Issei Became Alastor. I hope you guys